standard as the gold standard, and we are spending all our time focusing on how do we get to be a part of that before we focus on how do we get ourselves re-aggregated, how do we get ourselves restructured and whole so that we can determine what is best for us.
In fact, and you do write, quote, in our effort to prove our equality, we unconsciously chased the master's dream, adopted his values, moved into his neighborhoods, went to his schools, and we danced to his tune.
Yes.
But isn't this a bit of a slippery slope, though? Because once you begin to assign certain standards as white standards and identify them as such, aren't you then setting the stage that allows so many, unfortunately, of our misguided young people to buy into the idea that intellectual pursuit it's tantamount to acting white? That comporting yourself with a certain level of public dignity and decorum is acting white. Being able to speak well, being able to hold a job and to take care of a family and to aspire to higher things for yourself and for your children, that's acting white. Isn't it setting the stage that buys into that into that problem?
We speak very, very clearly and very thoroughly on that whole issue of that whole acting white thing. What we have to do is determine what is going to work best for us in terms of moving us into a stage of self-actualization. And what we are doing, what the examples you give are the very things that keep us back, that hold us back. Now, if they weren't holding us back, then I'd be perfectly fine with that. If talking black meant being at the top of the test scores in English, and I mean reading and math, then I'd say fine.
Are you and I talking black right now?
No. No, we're talking about black, but we're certainly not talking white. We're certainly not talking white.
So there is an objective standard then that is neither black nor white, but that is a standard that to which people can aspire and which people can embrace without surrendering to.
There has to be. We have to develop our own language. We have to develop our own symbols based on what our objectives are, and our objectives have to be, in order to overcome the race-based self-esteem deficiency that is almost measurable. We've got to feel better about ourselves, and we feel better about ourselves by developing what I call an internal locus of control. Getting rid of learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
What we basically do as a people, to too great an extent, is we keep looking outside of ourselves for the answer when the answer has to be within ourselves. Because as long as we're looking outside of ourselves, implicit in that is the whole notion of dependency and superiority of some other entity, some other group that we have to aspire to. And as long as we do that, we will continue to embrace this whole notion of the myth of black inferiority.
Now, I want us to get to a couple of the other questions that you raise. Among them, you raise, why do we perpetuate black sexual stereotypes, and why are black and beauty still contradictions?
Right.
We're going to take those two together.
Okay.
And if time permits, we're going to get to question number 10. Why is the joke always on us?
Okay.
But I also would like us, in the course of this conversation, to get to something that I did not find in the book, but that I encountered in the course of my other research preparing for this conversation. And this is Tom Burrell's brainwashing diagnosis, a list of 10 symptoms to look for. Black leaders are brainwashed when, and then you give 10 symptoms. I'm just going to run through those 10 symptoms very quickly, and we'll probably come back to one or two of them. So here now, Tom Burrell's brainwashing diagnosis. This from